So Act 2 is pretty much the time he spends with him in Transylvania. This is one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. He cuts his finger, and Count Orlok walks over and notices the blood. I think it's coming up right in a second. Here it goes. He cuts his finger. Really creepy, cool shot right here. His eyes are insane. Spooky, scary skeleton up on top of the clock there. Here's where he cuts his finger. Oh, Jesus. I don't see how he did that though. He just he knew his finger was right there, so why would he do that? The precious blood. Yeah, this is one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. Well, one of them. There's actually a lot of scenes I really like, so. He gives a really creepy facial expression right here. Wait till I zoom into his face. The one thing I do really like about silent movies is they do put these dialogue options on the screen for you to read and kind of understand what's happening. But the thing I really like about silent films, and just in general horror films, is they want you to figure out what's happening, as they don't really lay it out for you. You kind of have to figure. Well, I guess silent horror in general, horror movies nowadays, kind of lay it out for you, but you kind of have to understand what's happening now. You don't need a bunch of crazy stuff happening for you to figure it out. You can obviously tell that he's a vampire and he wants his blood. I mean, so yeah, pretty much as soon as the sun arose, apparently the shadows and the nightmare that he was just about to get into is over, because vampires don't like sunlight. So it doesn't spell it out for you like in new horror movies. It leaves it for the audience to pretty much insinuate what's happening, instead of just every little thing getting thrown at you. I don't know if I'm making any sense when I say that. You notice the shadows on the back wall there? It's like I said, this movie is one of the heaviest shadow-based movies I've ever seen. Obviously checking his neck for bites, as he's seen Count Orlok freaking out about the blood, so I guess he just assumed that he should check. Pretty happy that he didn't see any bites, it looked like. Yeah, as I said, you'll see so many shots with amazing deep dark shadows, and that's one of the main things that stands out in this movie completely. So apparently very happy for breakfast. This is the scene I was talking about when you actually see the innards of the town. It looks really cool. I have to say, all the atmosphere and architecture in this movie are pretty on point. It has him perfectly walking in the middle of the screen, down the path, with the doorway arch making an oval shape. It was a really good shot. As you can tell, mostly everything is in the middle of the screen, which that is how it's supposed to be, so that's really good. I feel like you can pretty much, if you're making a movie, a horror movie, or any kind of movie in general, this is one of the first movies you should probably watch. It shows how you can actually make a scary horror movie, or creepy in general. Well shot, with good music. As you can tell, the music is good. Well shadowed, and perspective. Everything is really good, and you don't have to have dialogue. I mean, you can make a silent movie black and white and still be really good. You know, I never noticed that either. Two just bit me on the neck, side by side, quite close together. Okay. I never noticed that. Pretty interesting. The transitions are really good too, where they always, you know, they use fades. Fade transitions in horror movies are pretty much the common, so the fact that it's 1922 and they're using transitions and titles and things like that is really cool. Like you'll see it fade out here in a second. I don't know, I haven't really mentioned it yet, but they do fade out per scene when they need to change scenes. Like right there, you just seen that fade transition. So it's getting dark again, and now the shadows are starting to come to life again. And that's my favorite part of the entire movie are the shadows of this film, so if you haven't already figured that out. There he's showing Count Orlok his wife. And so I'm assuming this is the part where he decides that he wants her as a mistress, because if you've seen any of the Dracula, like Bela Lugosi movies, then you know that Dracula always wants a mistress. Yeah, your wife has a lovely neck. So yeah, he's deciding to buy the house across the street from Hutter's, which Knock pretty much decided that he was going to put that one up for lease. And I don't understand how Hutter doesn't know that he's a vampire, technically. I mean, his eyes are completely darkened, and he has like super long fingernails. I mean, it's almost apparent. At least in Bela Lugosi's Dracula, he was just a gentleman type figure, so it was a lot harder to tell that he was a vampire than Count Orlok. Yeah, exactly. Digs his claws into his victims. I mean, pretty much Count Orlok has the claws, so I mean, he can kind of tell that he is a vampire. But Hutter is starting to realize that, so that's the infamous door. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the door that Count Orlok walks through with the shadow. Oh, look at this shot. This is one of the best shots in the entire film, where he actually gets to see him as the vampire form instead of actually just as, you know, the guy purchasing a house. I'd say this part of the movie, around this part, would probably be the staple scenes of the movie. Well, at least in this room in general, because all the scenes that are staples of this film happen in this room, like right here. One of the best scenes in the entire film. Perfect. You'll see Count Orlok creep around into the corner, or into the room, while he cowers in the corner. This shot is used in many clips of anything, and many horror movies try to copy this exact scene here. He just stands perfectly in that doorway. Perfect size for him. It's perfectly in the middle. This is an amazing scene. They cut away from it. This is also a really good scene. This is a scene that sets up the fact that Count Orlok can practically, I guess you would say, mind control. She's like getting drawn towards him. But the guy breaks her control and saves her. I love this scene here. Look at the shadows that they use. That is one of the best scenes. I love the shadows that they use in this movie. He looks right at the screen. Really good. Really good. Yeah, as you can see, the doorway is perfectly his size, and I'm assuming that they specifically cast him not only for his facial expressions, but that door in general to make it look exactly like that size of the same doorway as if it was practically made for him. So basically, the doctors are doing the same thing they did in Bela Lugosi's Dracula film, where they don't think it's a vampire; they think it's just practically a health issue. Yeah, so they think it's anxiety or some sort of unknown illness, is what it says. I forgot what they did in the Dracula Bela Lugosi. I think it was just like it wasn't an illness or anything like that. They just thought he was some like rich guy wanting to just be in generally with the cool crowd, I guess. I don't know how to explain that. But they didn't suspect him as a vampire, which they're not suspecting a vampire making her do the trances. So this is the scene where he actually just walks around and tries to explore the castle in general. I like this long shot here because it shows, yeah, that was a really good shot. Showing the deep hallways. This is actually the scene where, yeah, he walks down and sees the coffin. I don't know how I'd feel about that, honestly. If I walked in a crypt and found the coffin just chilling there, I probably wouldn't react the way he would, but he looks in and sees Nosferatu. That's really creepy. Yeah, I probably wouldn't just stand there like that. I would probably just, yeah, I would not do that. His eyes opened. This is the scene where he just sees, like, he looks out the window and sees Nosferatu just, like, taking coffins and just, like, piling them onto, like, a coach to go on his adventure. He's you know, acting like he's leaving to go to the house that he just purchased. This scene is amazing. Look at that speed frame. Look at that speed frame right there. That is perfect. And he just like, and somehow the top of the coffin just randomly goes on top of him. I love that scene. So now he has to get back to his town so he can warn everybody that practically a vampire is coming to live with him. He tries to climb down, but he like knocks himself out, and it's really stupid. And then he like wakes up in the hospital. He just like falls to the ground and just like passes out. I'm not sure how that happened, but alright. We'll accept that. Obviously, those are the coffins that Count Orlok just piled onto the boat. I mean, onto the carriage. Now they're on the boat. They actually send him on a ship in a few minutes. Not just this little raft that he's on now. So that's the end of Act 2. Now we're